Hi guys and welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I made this wonderful apple and rhubarb zero waste tea. Before we get started, if you want to learn more about how to live well without plastic in your life, then make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video. So at this time of year, if you're a gardener and you've got rhubarb in your garden, you'll be inundated with rhubarb. It comes on and it just spreads and goes and goes and goes. So I happen to have a neighbour further down the road who obviously has rhubarb plants in their garden, and they have more than they can deal with. So they put a plastic box out on the curbside with a whole bunch of rhubarb in, with a sign saying please take me. So I crept back there in the dead of night with my recyclable reusable plastic bag and collected a whole bunch of rhubarb, which I brought home. I did leave some for other people because I'm nice, which I brought home, and I had two nice red apples from the market the previous Thursday, and so I decided to make myself some rhubarb and apple dried tea that will store well in the cupboard and that will make use of this windfall of rhubarb. So let's get started. So the trick with this is to chop the rhubarb and apples as small as possible so that they will dry as much as possible. The drier they are, the easier they will be to crumble down into a powder if you want to do the powdered version. So I ground mine down to a powder so that in situations where I didn't have a tea strainer, it would be easy to make the tea, and I did that in my food processor. This wasn't ideal, it didn't get it all the way down to a powder, so I ended up splitting it into the powder and the solid lumps using my sieve as a strainer. Ideally, I would have used something like an electric coffee grinder if I wanted to get this into a really fine, consistent powder. But I don't have one of those, so I just made do with what I had and how it worked out. So I'm just using a spoon here to work the mixture through the sieve, and the powder will fall down into the saucepan below, which I will then put into a jar. So here are the pieces that are left, the chunkier pieces, and you can see that they are all a bit softened by the blades of the food processor, and so this is how much chunky and powder I got. So here I'm just making a cup with the powdered tea to show you how that works. This is some honey I got from Blenheim Palace. Always support your local beekeepers. British beekeepers are very strictly regulated to make sure that they protect the colonies of bees. As you can see, once you've stirred it, the bits of the powder do settle to the bottom, so it doesn't stay bitty for very long at all. If you don't like bits in your tea, you can use a tea strainer, so that's what I'm doing with the larger chunks here. If you want to do this straight from the chunks that you chopped and prepared earlier without using a food processor, that would of course be easier. But you will need a tea strainer in order to keep the parts from going through into the cup when you pour it out. This is a Jing tea air, but you could use any tea strainer of choice. Either one in a cup or one in a teapot or something like this. So this weekend we also attended the Witney Food and Drink Festival, which was very interesting. There were lots of great stalls, including the local Cotswold rapeseed oil that I bought rapeseed oil from Luce in Stroud, and that was made by the same company. So it was interesting to see them there. And while we were there, I also spotted some Morris dancers, which is a traditional British activity that you often see at fetes and festivals during the spring and summer months. So I thought I would share that with you in case you're an international viewer and would be interested in seeing a bit of traditional British folk custom. If you enjoyed this video, then you'll probably enjoy more of my Zero Waste Home and Urban Edible Kitchen Garden playlists, and I will link to those now. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!